saw you sink. Finally, someplace I found peace. In the dark of night, tabletops, counters in the early hours. Stone cold inside, banging drops, dancers, never needing answers. We wander all alone, but we can't find the street lights go. We wander all alone, but we can't deny we are the street light people. Chasing whatever kills. For so long I forgot how it feels. In the dark of night, tabletops, counters in the early hours. Stone cold inside, banging drops, dancers, never needing answers. We wander all alone, but we can't find the street lights go. We wander all alone, but we can't deny we are the street light people.
You have one shot on stage, what you got to play. Generic drops for days, still the people rage. Am I not insane? Can you stop and explain why these drops are so lame? Is money buying you fame? I'm fucking on, I'm killing it with this song. You haters can sing along or go back where you belong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving up, moving on. Cause I took your girl to prom, she can't help but sing this song. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high harass. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high harass. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. She's so on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad, come on baby, bring it back. I'm so gone, faded off a 30 rack. She's so on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad, come on baby, bring it back. I rap with a passion, yeah, I got it in me. I've been waiting quite a long time for y'all to hear me. It's about damn time you put some stock into me. You're either sponsoring me or fucking bothering me. And the fact is, we just practice all this madness. That is why your status is like a canvas. Chances our advancement is enhancing, and this new expansion's like a mansion. Comes up till the lights go out, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth till the smoke clears out. And my hyper raps, I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out. Can't shut my mouth till the smoke clears out. And my hyper raps, I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a damn if you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions, they blocking your vision. But no, you can't listen, that shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming.
There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Are you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Are you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fight back. You ain't gonna make it, you ain't never ever gonna break it. You can never beat them and they're better than you face it. Thinking that they give a damn, you're not thinking straight, kid. No, they don't give a damn, you got what I'm saying? I'm not fucking playing, I'll give it to you straight, man. There's too many others and you're not that great, man. Stop what you're saying, stop what you're making. Everybody here knows that you just faking. Nah, I don't wanna hear it anymore, I don't wanna hear it anymore. All these fucking thoughts, they are not what I need anymore. I'm about to shut the motherfucking door on all you poor ass haters with your heads in the clouds, talking out loud so proud. You better shut your goddamn mouth before I do more speak out. It's about to head south. You're never gonna make it. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Are you just gonna take that? Make them take it all back. Don't tell me you believe that. Are you just gonna take that? Or will you fucking fight back? Fight back.
Hey, and we're live. Welcome back to Canna Heads ND. This is episode number 5, your once-a-week podcast for the latest in cannabis, local and nationally news, running every Sunday from 6:30 p.m. Typically, we go about an hour and a half. My name is Phil.
I'm Faye from Faye's Humble Roots.
Totally
I forgot.
We totally didn't just script that whole entire thing. So yeah, welcome back to the show, guys. If you'd like to support ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, to reach new heights in advertising, our cause, or anything like that, feel free to donate at the Streamlab links, which should be like this way or down there. I'm not 100% sure where it is on the screen, but um, streamlabs.com/ND for Freedom, and you can donate. And then when you do donate, a really, really cool thing happens, and it looks a little bit something like this. See, a little thing pops up, and it shows like you donated, and you can also throw a little message and stuff like that. And if you want to like reach out to us or anything like that, you can also do that. Another thing that we also do for the advertising and stuff like that, we're actually working on newspaper, being in every single newspaper, and as well as a TV ad. The TV ad I know a little bit more about since I'm going to be the one making it. It will be first, it'll start off in Fargo, just to kind of do as a test run area, see what the exposure was like, and then it will be across the entire state. Um, it'll be most likely on NBC and NBC affiliate shows. Not 1,000% sure exactly like at what time, but it will be running throughout the week for about a week. And for that type of stuff, we're not self-sufficient enough to the point that we would be able to fund that right now currently. So that's the reason why we're asking for donations and everything like that. So all the money that goes on the stream or on the website ndforfreedom.org, and if you scroll down, you hit the donate button. 100%, well, 95% of the money goes to us. The other 5 goes to the different processors. So if you do it through Streamlabs, 5% will go to them, and then if you do it through the website, 5% will go through DonorBox, which is actually our payment processor. So anything like that, basically all the money goes to us is kind of the way I'm saying it. I don't take any money. We don't really, we're not doing this for profit. So all the money that you guys donate goes directly back into ND for Freedom. So you can be rest assured that that's where your money is going. Also, we're a constitution. I can't talk today. A constitutional petition we're circulating in North Dakota that, if passed, it would allow anyone over the age of 21 to possess, grow, or consume cannabis, as well as to grow 12 plants, 6 of which can be mature, 6 of them can be seedlings. So if you agree with that and you would like to support the cause in signing, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act, which is usually probably the page that you're watching this on. Another thing that we're also working on is we're also dual stream YouTube currently, and in the next few months we will be going to Twitch as well. And we're kind of hoping that we can move everybody over to Twitch. The reason why is if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber or a customer of Amazon Prime, you get a free Prime membership or subscription on Twitch. And because of that, if you become a subscriber, you donate money to us, and it's free of charge for you guys. So we'll be starting up the Twitch channel here probably in the next couple of weeks, and probably slowly transitioning over there. We do need people to subscribe or to follow, not to subscribe, to follow us on Twitch. I believe it's 40 people before we can get that button. So be on the lookout for that notification. Other than that, we do this type of show once a week, every Sunday from 6:30. But we also have a radio show that's going on as well. It'll be on Thursdays, this Thursday, from 4 to 5 p.m. with Greg Wilson. If you kind of like these types of shows, feel free to listen to that. KRFF, which is Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 in the Fargo-Moorhead area, but it is also on the it'll be on the YouTube channel a day or two after, and it'll also be on the website as well. So if you like these kinds of shows, these kind of podcast type of shows, long form, whatever you want to call it, that is kind of what that show is going to be like. That one's going to be mostly local news, so like North Dakota news, where ours is more national. I've yet to actually do a local news story, so Working on that.
We'll
Also,
find one. We'll find one.
right. Also, this stream is brought to you by Faye's Humble Roots in Grand Forks. Go ahead and tell me about your store, Faye.
I am downtown Grand Forks and I sell CBD products. I have multiple different types of CBD. I have regular CBD, isolate CBD, which does not have THC. I have full spectrum CBD that does have the 0.3% THC in it that helps with pain relief. I have other CBD products that have the other cannabinoids in it, like CBN, CBC, CBG. I do have raw hemp. I have soaps, lotions, bath salts, a chai tea mix. I have a wide variety of products, all organically made, all made by the grower that I have a relationship with from Oregon. And it's just great product at an affordable price. And I'm at 305 South 4th Street downtown, and I'm open Monday through Thursday, 1 to 5. And my extended hours are listed on my Facebook, Faye's Humble Roots.
Yeah, and support your local businesses as well. So we do have a lot of businesses with the petition. Faye is one of them, and we are very
Mm-hmm.
grateful for her. And that's the reason why we're kind of doing these sponsor things. If you are a business that is carrying the petition, please reach out to me. We will work on getting your exposure on the stream. I mean, it's, not that many concurrent watchers, but it does actually get a decent amount of views after stream as well. So if you are a business that is carrying the petition, please feel free to reach out to us so I can give you a little spot. I personally have used Phase products, and I think one of my favorite ones, I got the one with the THC in it, but even though I'm not the one that took it, my animals, so I have a cat and dog, and it really does help a lot. It's not like it doesn't even like sedate them. It just kind of lets them be a little bit more calm. And that one doesn't have THC in it, I believe. It has CBD, CBG, CBC. I know there was four of them. I don't know what the fourth one was.
Was
It says it on the bottle.
CBN
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. It
Yeah.
says it says it on the bottle, but it's actually pretty easy to dose as well. If you have a cat and you feed him or her wet food, just throw it right in the water or the liquid of the food. If it's dry
Hmm.
food, I just sometimes for enticing animals, if you put like chicken broth or something like that in for food, it doesn't seem to really de-incentivize them from eating it. Like they don't, I don't think they taste anything. I don't think it actually tastes like anything. The little I've tried, but if you put it in like chicken broth or something like that, I think they're more apt to eating the food the whole entire dose. So that was my only thing that I noticed is like my cats don't finish their bowl every single time. Um, so adding a little bit of chicken broth makes sure that they eat all of them. So uh, definitely uh,
Well,
try your stuff out if you're in Grand Forks. So yeah, other than that, today's show is kind of a little bit different. I'm kind of testing a new thing, and I'm also running a little short of stories today. I didn't notice that many things in cannabis happening this week. I don't know if you noticed too many of them.
well, I'm always looking at cannabis stories, but I do think, I mean, I just wish there were more positive stories because it seems like every time you turn around, it's not a positive story about cannabis, even though it should be. If you're looking, I mean, but a lot of it's political right now.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of if it was legal, we could have some guidelines and everybody could have a level playing field. So let's try to make that happen. Number one.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing is like I tend to try to stay away from. I mean, this next story is a little political. I don't think it's like polarizing by any means whatsoever. But
It's Bernie. There's no way it's polarizing.
right, yeah, and you just introduced it for us. Actually, perfect.
Yay.
Bernie Sanders released a legalized marijuana plan, cannabis plan, um, and I guess it was a newsworthy thing to put it in the title at 420. Uh, I don't know why
Hey,
that's a
you know
big
what?
deal.
I posted today, I was at the Nature's grocery store buying stuff to make a product of mine, and I saved $4.20, and I thought it was post worthy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole 420 thing, I've heard multiple different variations of the story. So I've heard there was a group of kids in a high school that every single day at 420 they would go out to the statue and smoke. I've heard that 420 is the number that police use for cannabis related calls. Um, I've heard something like Snoop Dogg decided to make it like a mainstream thing that he told everybody that he smokes at 420. I don't know if the root of the whole 420 thing has been solidified or anything like that, but so his plan is 4 to 5 parts. I kind of put the one of the parts together simply because it's kind of the same. It's a financial incentive type of deal. But the first part would be that he would issue an executive order declassifying cannabis as a Schedule One substance on the federal level. I mean, he wouldn't be rescheduling it. He would be directing the Attorney General, which is kind of the same thing, um, to be reclass or declassifying marijuana as a general term as a controlled substance. Currently, it is a Schedule One, which is of all crazy things, a drug that has no medicinal value. Yeah, that's our
So,
that's apparently federal government view of cannabis. um, but and the whole Schedule One thing, actually, I learned today, or not today, well, this week. That whole Schedule One thing, I didn't realize was as like big of a deal. Medicinal states, um, so North Dakota, for instance, a doctor or a nurse cannot prescribe you cannabis. They can recommend it. So it's if they prescribe, it is a thing that they could lose their license over. So I didn't realize that it really went that deep. So
it
that's
does actually, because I do have some doctors, like therapists and some like chiropractors, that they just say this could help you, and they will say this is a store that you could go to. And they're not prescribing, they're just saying it could help.
right. Yeah, and that's, I mean, I guess that's a way to kind of, as well as protect yourself from like, what's it called when you sue a doctor? Malpractice.
Oh,
So
malpractice. Yep.
yeah, so I guess it's also another way to kind of protect yourself from malpractice. But I found it just interesting. Also, shout out to Gail Peterson for kind of informing me about that. I listened to something on YouTube, like a podcast or something, and I heard them say that, and I was just like, is this true? So I reached out to her and asked. She's a huge wealth of information. So if you ever have any questions as far as medicinal cannabis or anything like that, definitely reach out to her. She definitely knows what she's talking about. I hope she doesn't mind me kind of shouting her
Giving
out
her a
there.
shout out.
Right. But
Well, even for myself, when I sell CBD, I can't tell anybody it's going to fix anything. I can't say it's going to do this. I can say it will. It has helped people with this, but I can never say that it will take away your pain. I have to be very careful about what I say too because of FDA guidelines.
yeah, and Chris is saying that there's a Supreme Court case right now that is dealing with that same subject. So I guess that's content for me for next week. Um, so also another part of his plan would be to pushing Congress to ensure permanent legalization. So the states would have the freedom to legalize it in their state, as well as provide a legislative system for how it works in their state. So tax code and like the laws as far as like over 21, what happens if somebody smokes under 21 type of stuff. So it would push them to ensure permanent legalization, but it would be in such a way that the federal government doesn't overreach into states. So that's kind of his push to Congress. Whether or not it goes through in Congress like that, I can say I highly doubt that. I, I I don't know. I just Congress as a whole, Congress, House, both things. I mean, whenever you have two parties working in the same for the same, I mean, that's basically all legislation is two parties working for the same thing, but it's always they have to throw in their party's talking points into their bills. So I don't know if it'll pass that way, but the third one would push, and this is kind of the same, or the kind of are the same a little bit. So it would be for the people who were affected by the war on drugs, and I use that in quotes because war on drugs seems like such a wide term. Like, war on drugs isn't only cannabis, it's also opiates and that stuff, and my
Well, when
personal
you
belief.
think about the war on drugs, that war on drugs came from, isn't it, when it was just the Just Say No, wasn't that like, was that Ronald Reagan?
Yeah,
Um, when the war on drugs was marijuana, it wasn't the crisis that we have now. It's a dated term.
yeah. And the thing is like there is a war on drugs. I just don't think cannabis should be in that war. um,
No, it shouldn't be.
we can't deny opiate deaths. We can't deny fentanyl being put into opiates and stuff like that. That is a actual war with addicts and dealers and cartels and all of that stuff. So that is an actual thing that is happening. But so the formerly incarcerated, it would help the, and I quote here, help the disproportionately impacted areas and individuals who have been arrested for or convicted of marijuana offenses to start urban and rural farms and urban and rural marijuana growing operations, which I believe is kind of the same thing. And it would provide a $10 billion development fund to provide grants to communities hit the hardest by the war on drugs. So basically, for the ones that were affected with a conviction, it would provide a $10 billion grant, as well as also it would provide a expungement um, system for the ones that were federally charged. It would allow them to expunge the records of people federally charged, and then it would also, since the whole Congress pushed for permanent legalization, it may allow states to expunge it. I believe it'll be more of a recommendation for the states to start expunging these kinds of records. Whether that state actually does or not is actually up to them. So that's kind of where we'll start this conversation here after I do the part four. Yeah, I kind of have a little bit of a different view, I believe, than most people about that. But um, it would also, and this one was actually very interesting for me. Um, it would, and I'm trying to find the part. Uh, let's see here. Um, Either way, dead air aside, it would incentivize cannabis businesses to act as a nonprofit or provide protections for nonprofit in the sense of the tax incentives for the nonprofit organizations and stuff like that. And the biggest one is it would prohibit the companies that provide products and labels that target young people. It would prohibit that activity, but it would also ban tobacco companies as well as other companies that, and this is a quote, make cancer-causing products from participating in the cannabis market. Yeah, so I'll just start it off. Cancer-causing products. I'm from California, where quite literally, if you are walking down the street and you don't see a sign that says that this something in this thing that you are looking at is not a does not have a cancer causing product, something is wrong and you're probably not in California anymore. Quite literally. The apartment that I moved into in California, there was, those plastic signs that they put on like bathroom doors and stuff like that, like, the ones that say men's and stuff like that.
Yep.
That with a sign, couldn't remove it, that says that the paint may have been a cancer. There may be cancer-causing products in the paint that was used to be used in this wall.
Apparently, you need to live in a bubble to live in California.
Well, but I mean, just using that terminology, cancer-causing products, like I can understand tobacco products. That's
Hmm.
an obviously proven cancer-causing product. But like, does that mean? I mean, I'm not saying that a paint company should jump into the cannabis market, but does that mean like Bear and Bear or whatever other paint companies can't fund anything to do with cannabis? Like they can't get involved?
Well, what would they need to get involved with cannabis for, though? Doesn't really relate to their product.
No, but I mean the you can make textiles, so there can be
Oh,
hemp.
well, like hemp.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
would, I mean, I think there would probably be a carve out there, like, if you're making a hemp product and that's not the cannabis, like one with THC in it, that or
Hmm.
point less than 0.3% of THC in it, product that you might not fall under that part. But like, I, I'm pretty sure like Johnson and Johnson, and a whole bunch of other companies, they do provide capital for a bunch of other businesses. They're not just raking in the money. They usually try to divest and get involved in other markets and try to fund other products that might not even relate to them as a whole. But my opinion is like right now we do have tobacco companies involved in cannabis. What's it called? Oh, I forgot the name of the Canopy or something like that. Not 100% sure of the name of the business, but they're funded by, um, I believe, don't quote me on this one, but they're also funded by a tobacco company, and I believe it's RJ Reynolds. So, does that mean that, I mean, tobacco companies make a lot of money? Does that mean that because they provide smoking products that can cause cancer that they can't be
Make
involved?
marijuana
Well, that they can't
or
even be
like make
involved.
joints.
Yeah, like they can't like I mean, I think it's almost everybody's dream to be going to a gas station and buying a pack of, you know, blue haze or, purple haze.
Right.
Just pack
Well,
your
I do think it's a little unrealistic that he would even put that in there about like forbidding other companies to get involved in cannabis because you never know what's going to happen in like, I don't know, 50 years where the papers that are wrapping joints had this in it and could cause this. I mean, we don't know even enough to even say what they need is to just regulate it. It doesn't have to be if a cigarette company wants to change from being a from making cigarettes and turning into making marijuana available for the masses or whatever they do. I don't know why anybody would stop them from that unless they were putting tobacco in it. Well, that would obviously
Oh,
not go through compliance.
yeah, I mean, there is a thing that people do. It's called a spliff, where you mix in tobacco to hide the smell. But
Oh,
I found the thing. So
oh, good.
finally, Sanders would prevent marijuana businesses from turning into an analog of big tobacco, a major concern among some supporters of legalization. He would financially incentivize marijuana businesses to be nonprofit, prohibit products and labels that target young people, ban tobacco companies, as well as other companies that make cancer-causing products and are guilty of deceptive marketing. So I guess maybe the deceptive marketing part, that they are not allowed to deceptively market, which my personal belief is a teenager, underage person is going to smoke cigarettes if they want to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, that's just
It's
it.
it's not the marketing. It's not, I the whole
I say it
candy,
feels
huh?
I just feel like they're mixing apples and oranges in that statement, like putting the cigarette company and the cannabis in the same thing. Like we need to deal with the tobacco company and cancer causing products, but does it have to be mixed in with marijuana?
Right. Yeah, and I think that the tobacco companies as a whole, I think they have they have experience in the whole like it's the same thing with alcohol companies. They have experience in the intoxicant market. Like at
Hmm.
the end of the day, technically tobacco is an intoxicant and so is alcohol. So they have the experience as far as getting sued, for over serving, stuff like that. Like they have the experience that I think that they should be involved. They should be able to be involved.
Hmm.
I don't think that they should make, Marlboro cannabis or something like that.
No.
But I think that they should be allowed to be in the market. Like I just it might be an unpopular opinion, and for that, that's the reason why I decided to have this conversation. And another thing is so pushing the state and federal authorities to expunge past convictions, as well as provide a $10 billion grant to provide those affected by conviction to start urban and rural farms of cannabis. And that $10 billion will go to communities that were hit hardest by the war on drugs. We have lawsuits about opioids. We have lawsuits about those.
Hmm.
Does that mean that the the ones that have been successful in suing and the ones that are still waiting in court to be heard, is that how we're going to figure out who was hit the hardest by the war on drugs? Are we going to look at conviction records? Are we going to look at suits when it comes to pharma companies? Because believe it or not believe it or not, I think we all know, pharma companies have been pretty uh they've been in the whole war on drugs. Like they're not the innocent ones in this situation either. Like
No.
and that's actually going to go into another story that we have coming up after this. So, I feel that first of all, $10 billion for something like this is not a substantial amount of money in general. Um, this is people's lives, and I can say as a person that has been affected by something like this, um, I mean, I'm not saying that I lost $10 billion or anything like that, but the loss of ability to get a job that would require like something as far as a career is
Hmm.
pretty hard for me to get. The loss of ability for many different things as far as housing goes, as far as loans go, anything like that. Anything that requires trust, it's pretty hard if you have a felony. It's really hard.
Over marijuana.
Exactly. But at the same time, the same thing of expunging the past convictions, myself, this is my own personal thing. I have a conviction for marijuana, and I also have a conviction for opiates. Uh, they kind of go hand in hand because like I was more addicted to being intoxicated than anything, and I think this is kind of the same with a lot of people. Um, they they got addicted to getting fucked up, whether it's
Yeah.
alcohol, opiates, anything like that. It's not that they got addicted to just that one drug. Like they have choices, like uppers or downers, but they got addicted to that kind of feeling. And because of that, mine was cannabis, that whole downer one. That's why I stayed with indica strains. I just kind of like the chill vibe thing. And opiates are kind of the same. Some opiates are kind of the same. Um, and that's kind of why I switched because I was on probation for my felony um, for 5 years, and guess what? Opiates only last in your system for 3 days, whereas if you smoke chronically, it lasts for 30. It led me into the other, and I think that that is a huge portion of people. I'm not saying like everybody does that, but I think that saying to expunge past convictions as far as marijuana goes is not the 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 magic ingredient. I don't believe that that's the magic ingredient.
I think that's really interesting that you say that, just because if they expunged previous convictions, that would free you up for
For
future.
one of the things.
Like, right, for one of the things. But it in order to be on an opioid, did something happen to where a doctor gave you the opioid, or
Yeah.
was it an abuse thing? A doctor gave you an opioid.
Yeah, and then from there I started abusing it.
So don't you think that it's really strange, though, that you could go to the doctor yourself, get an opioid with no instruction, no warnings except for what the pharmacist gives you on the piece of paper about addiction? But it takes what to get a cannabis medical license or getting a medical card right now? The 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 hoops you have to jump through and all of the information you have to learn in order to just get a cannabis card that you would not rob your grandma over. If you ran out of weed, you're not going to rob your grandma
Right.
over that, or you're not going to, steal people's copper out of pieces of like old appliances sitting outside, which I have seen happen here in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I have witnessed somebody taking copper out of old appliances to go get money for meth, because you could tell by the way they looked that that's what they were craving. Now, I've never seen anybody on marijuana trying to do anything except just be chill.
Right.
And it does help them with their pain. It does help them with their emotions. It helps with sleep. It helps with so many different things. But you have to jump through a ton of hoops in order to get it. But you can go to the doctor with your backache and get opioids within 10 minutes and it not be a problem. And that's a problem.
Yeah. And another thing that I don't know, this might just be from news stories that I heard locally. uh, It's such a hoop to jump through that there's so many people that are just grasping for any kind of support whatsoever, that the very, very obvious possible scams out there when it comes to cannabis, medicinal cannabis, that people will just look completely the other way. There might be like 5 red flags on the way there, and they would just be like, nope, doesn't matter. I'm still gonna go pay my money there, and then I'm gonna get ripped off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's
It's
a yeah, there's a huge story with, I mean, it's developing and stuff like that, but there's like a huge story where um this one online, it was, you go online, you type in your name and everything like that, is like e-medicine type of thing where a doctor will Skype with you and be like, "Oh, you should get some cannabis. You're good." And then it actually happened in roves. Like, it happens in multiple different states, and then they end up basically being like, no, that's not how this works. You definitely can't just go to a doctor and be like, I would like some medicinal cannabis, please. You talk about your problems there. You don't talk about your medicinal cannabis or your need for medicinal cannabis. Whereas that's the whole entire incentive of these online businesses, local businesses as well, in some cases, that you go there and apparently they basically kind of advertise it like, hey, you come to us, we'll say yes. You just have to pay us
well,
this money.
it's too bad. If it was legal, all this could be regulated. And if
Yeah.
it was legal, I mean, I just read an article in revenue alone for the government. If the federal government legalized recreational cannabis, the revenue that would be received from that is in the billions. Why are we even in a deficit with, the government? Our budget is in the hole. Why is that even happening when we could legalize cannabis, create jobs, create revenue, create it would do so much good. Plus, it would help try to control some of the inconsistencies with the law. Everybody would have like know the rules, just like alcohol. If you drive and you're high, you're going to get in trouble.
Yep.
You're not going to go, you're probably not going to, I mean, it could be the same as if you drink and drive. Everybody knows they shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And you would have that too. But as of now, and this is my own personal opinion, if you were to get pulled over for smoking weed in your car, it really is going to, there's no straight rules like, yeah, it's illegal, but also depends on what color your skin is, if you're a man or a woman, who the cop is, what day it is. Like, there's just so many different variables that could happen. If you get pulled over, you just don't know what's going to happen. Whereas alcohol, you get pulled over drinking, you know what's going to happen to you. You're going to get in the back of the car. You're screwed.
Right. Yeah, I honestly, like, another thing is the I think we are learning now when it comes to opiates that we can actually kind of mirror it a little bit when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
prescribing other substances. Not even only cannabis. I think we could be doing the same thing for, and I think we do the same thing for like ADHD medication or ADD medicine. Any kind of like substance that people regularly abuse, which is usually a controlled substance. So that's the reason why I say regularly abuse, because in this situation, it would no longer be a controlled substance, but it can still be treated a little bit the same. And when it comes to drug driving, like
Mm-hmm.
just because you're prescribed an opiate doesn't mean you can be driving down the street nodding off.
Oh, what does it say? What does it say on the bottle of an opioid? Use caution when operating heavy
Heavy
equipment.
machinery, yeah, yeah,
Right, right. Okay, so what happens if you overdose on an opioid? Probably going to die, or you're going to need to be revived medically, and the ambulance is going to come. If
right,
you overdose on marijuana, you're going to either be super paranoid or you're going to take a nap. I mean,
right.
it just doesn't make sense that these are our options.
Yeah, but so in for cannabis, it's the same, or not for cannabis, but for opiates, it's the same thing. I'm not 100% sure about cannabis. This might actually be a thing that's already been done. So for patients who need opiates long term, which is a very hard thing, and rightfully so because it's very addicting, and the things that it can cause to your life is just can really mess you up like really bad. Been there.
Mhm.
Um, so you go to a doctor, you talk to them about your pain and how you manage it usually, and what you can do to not be doing so many opiates, and then once you kind of come to an agreement and are educated enough, you sign a opiate um, what's it called? An opiate agreement. So you promise that doctor that you are going to follow all these rules. You're not going to abuse this. If you do, you lose your chances of getting it from that doctor and usually ever again. So like you can't go doctor shopping. You can't get pulled over intoxicated on any substance, but especially the substance being prescribed to you. You can't be selling it. You can't be asking for refills early. Stuff like that. It should be applied the same thing with ADD medicine. But if we're going to be
Mhm.
talking about medicinal cannabis, and I think this is kind of what maybe might be polarizing for people seeing it from or thinking that what I'm saying is kind of totally against what most people believe. At the end of the day, like it should be used for cannabis as well. Because while your recommendation is just a recommendation, stuff like that, but there are people who use medicinal cards. I don't think it's in North Dakota because I don't think there's that big of a market for it in North Dakota, but I can guarantee you 100% because I've been in, or not involved, but I've seen it happen in California where people who, you know, don't smoke go to a doctor, get a prescription, go to the dispensary, pick up a large sum, and sell it because it's a huge moneymaker. And
But then they are probably charging way too much because, from what I understand, it's really expensive to still go to a dispensary for a medical
uh,
card.
it's for me, this was in 2000. When did I turn 18? 2010? I don't remember when I turned 18. Yeah, it would have to be 2009 because I'm 28. I think I'm 28. I might be 29. No, I'm 27. I'm gonna be turning 28 in a couple months. I honestly, yeah. Once I turned 21, I was done counting. But it was
Same.
right. It was a $300 fee to go see the doctor the first time. The doctor. So my story is a little bit kind of that whole scammy type of thing. Um, but I didn't get scammed. So you call this doctor. They ask you a bunch of questions on the phone. Um, like, why do you think you need it? What have you tried? All this stuff. Then you say, okay, you can come in and see a doctor next week on this time, this day. You go there. You sit there in the waiting room for like an hour because they're always running behind because they have so many people coming in. You pay your
Hmm.
$300. You sit down in a office, like a doctor's office. You sit there. Doctor comes in, literally says two sentences. Based on the things you said over the phone, I believe you're a likely candidate for medicinal cannabis. Here you go. Just pay on your way out. You go pay on your way out for getting the medicinal, for seeing that doctor for like the 30 seconds, usually an extra $150 if you get it, and then you get your recommendation. And then you have to come back to that same doctor in 90 days to prove your condition that you came in for. So you are talking about your back. You have to have a medicinal history of having back problems. You have to have, tried going through like pain management, tried going through different like physical therapy and stuff like that. And then you prove it to them and you pay another like $200, and then you're pretty much set for a year. And you're usually prescribed like 6 to 8 ounces at a time. And the way that they control it there is you go to that dispensary, you are the client of that dispensary. They don't check, this is back then, I'm sure that they check now. They don't check if you're a client of any other dispensary. So you can go to your dispensary in your local city, and then when you're traveling, you can go to another dispensary, sign up, show your recommendation to them, or your, not prescription, but the recommendation form. And they don't check that you're in another place, and you can pick up that 6 to 8 ounces again in another city. So you can end up being a part of, they're called clubs. You can be a part of like 20 different clubs. You can pick up 6 to 8 ounces every single time. You can pick up like a pound or two, and you can sell a pound or two. And in that regard, yeah, it can be definitely abused. And yeah, I mean, I think
The way to take that, which is kind of a ridiculous have. I mean, I'm listening to what you had to do to get medicinal marijuana 10 years ago or 9 years ago. And unfortunately, it seems like the same routine we have now, which seems very archaic. It seems very unreasonable. When you're over the age of 21 and it's not going to kill you, why do we have to ask permission? And why do we have to pay somebody $300 to tell us something we already know that this could help us? And it's not going to kill us. It's not going to hurt anything. If we follow the rules that we are given, it's not going to hurt anybody. So, I mean, even if alcohol, we can go to, 47, I can go up to Happy Harry's and I can pick up a huge bottle of Everclear and I can drink the whole thing. And I don't have to ask anybody about it as long as I don't drive while I'm drinking it, I'm good to go. And it's ridiculous because if I drink that much Everclear, I'm going to die.
Well, yeah, and I think the biggest part of my my argument is regulation. Really, at the end of the day, it's a matter of regulating it. So we can take three stances. The first one is we can stick our head in the sand and believe it's not happening, which is kind of where we're at right now.
Oh, that's like 75% of the people.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's some states that have legalized, but as far as legislators in other states, sticking their head in the sand and believing it's not happening. We can regulate it medicinally, or we can regulate it recreationally. Those two, the first word of them is regulation. Because at the end of the day, if we allow people, like there's regulations as far as alcohol, there's regulations as far as tobacco, those are intoxicants as well. Like, you have to be 18 to buy cigarettes. You have to be over 21 to buy alcohol. If we don't have that regulation, then we're just basically going to allow anybody and everybody, and then we're not having any kind of control. We're not figuring out how taxes should be paid out and where they should go. We're just kind of same thing as, buying water at a grocery store. You can just buy however much money you have worth of water if you need it. Same thing can be done with cannabis. And another thing is that same thing can be done. I mean, there's still some regulations as far as like sales tax and stuff like that, but when it comes to regulating an intoxicant, this might be the unpopular opinion here, but I am under the belief that it should be legal, but it should be regulated.
It has to be regulated.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's not regulated, we have like the vape pen cartridge situation going on right now. If we had it regulated, and it was legal for everybody who's of age to get it, these things would not be happening.
Right. And another thing is it's taking out while they're according to I was one of the things I was going to do on the stream today was going to be this, well, I wasn't going to do it after the morning because I just gave up on doing that whole entire idea. There was a Senate hearing last week, I believe. Yeah, I believe it was last week. There was a Senate hearing last week where they were talking about allowing more universities and research facilities to research cannabis. Last week we had talked about this as well. There was a lawsuit filed in the Supreme Court, or that went to the Supreme Court, over suing DEA over just looking at the applications, not even not even accepting or denying these applications. There wasn't a fight over that. Looking at them. So we have these, and we're just going to call politics what it is. A whole bunch of old people complaining about problems that they have created themselves, saying that
Pretty much.
they need to fix the problem. That's what that fight was. That entire hour and a half. It was like a 2.5 hour long stream, but I guess C-SPAN just decided to play coming soon advertisements for 45 minutes of the entire freaking thing. And then it went into literally like 3 people in a room. No, I think it was 6 people in a room that looks like it was made for like a couple hundred, talking about problems that they have created themselves and how they need to be solved and blaming other people for it.
Sounds like a typical day at work.
I honestly, the reason why I wanted to do it was literally for the entertainment factor of it. Like, I wasn't even gonna do any, like, hot takes of it. I was literally just gonna make fun of them the entire time. Like, sentence for sentence, just seriously, you created that problem. Like, yeah. So, back to what I was talking about is, like, it's the research portion of it. I was actually talking to a friend, Chris here. He had mentioned that while in the United States we might not have a whole bunch of accepted research, there is a lot of research as far as in every single aspect of it in other countries. And we're
Oh,
not,
absolutely.
apparently, we believe that USA number one and Canada's system and how it's working in Canada or how it's working in other countries. We're not looking at that at all, and we're not taking any hints or ideas from that.
A lot of the information that I get about CBD, like the podcasts I listen to or the books and the information I read about just my own personal research about CBD, because I try to be as informed as I can be. A lot of the research is from other countries that they've discovered.
Yep.
It's not even local. It's all from other countries. And because they're just way more advanced in it than we are.
Yeah, and I mean, like in the United States, there's only one source for research, and it's a place in Mississippi that
Hmm.
apparently has bunk weed or bunk
Yeah.
cannabis. I mean, yeah, it makes it really, really hard to talk about THC concentration levels when the product that you're researching only has like 1%. Like, yeah.
Well, that's just it.
So the other thing is like where we schedule it, and that kind of information is usually what causes legislators to take that kind of information. So I see it a lot in tech. We have legislators talking about the internet like a famous person, Berners-Lee, said it's a series of tubes. We legitimately have people who have said in council that that they should talk about they've said tubes. They've said some. So the research and information is usually the thing that sways those kinds of people. Like that's the concrete, that is something that they can talk about for other, like when they're talking to press, when they're talking in council, that is something that they can say, this is where I got this information. You can find it yourself here. You can read it. This is all you need to know about it. This is my condensed version of it, and this is my view of what I read. But if you would like to, you can also read it as well. That is what they do. And we don't have that kind of research. And that's the reason why we have these crazy outlandish ideas as far as like in the internet field that the internet is a series of tubes. uh, Fun fact, it is not. It is most certainly not.
What?
Yeah. Last I checked, I don't have a pipe going to my computer. um, yeah. But yeah, like there's people who actually legitimately believe it, and we see it in that aspect of it is seen in what's it called? Uh, I'm blanking on it. It doesn't matter. But so we see a lot
I
of.
do think,
Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say that I do think, like, just being a petitioner here, where I have people signing my petitions for the North, for you, the North Dakota Freedom of Cannabis Act. Um, I do get a lot of older customers, and they love CBD. I ask them, whoever comes in, if they're from North Dakota, I ask them if they would like to sign the petition. And so the older ones are too funny because CBD is legal, they're all about it. But if I ask them about signing to make cannabis legal, they're like, oh, one lady said, and I love her, she's adorable. She changed her mind after we talked. She said, oh, so everybody can walk around or drive around stoned. And I said, well, you don't think that they're not already doing that?
Right. Yeah.
This way, they have clear consequences for not doing that. And then she said, well, if I got cancer, I definitely would want to have weed. And I said, well, here's the process to get a medical marijuana card in North Dakota. And she's like, well, I wouldn't want to do all that. So she goes, well, give me that paper. I'm going to sign. So a lot of it's just communicating. If it's legal, a lot of people will be more embracing of it. And so it's like an uphill battle because just like you said, the Congress is old. Everybody there is older, and everybody has that mindset, and that's been passed down and passed down. And now this is the younger generation that's finally getting a clue that this is something that will help.
Right. And another thing is a lot of I'm not ragging on old people at all. Honestly,
No,
those are
I'm
like the
one of
smartest
the,
people.
I'm like,
But
I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm older than you, at least. I could be
right.
your mother.
So, I'm not 100% sure exactly where he is. I believe he's a senator. Um, it's uh, we're gonna go this. We're not gonna go too far into this one. Um, Said something pretty racist about
Uh-oh.
somebody that is a representative in Minnesota.
Uh-oh.
Um, Pretty
I wonder who you're
racist,
talking about.
right? And he totally basically took a rumor, not really a rumor, um, just some crap that's spewed on the internet, and just decided to double down on it and boost that signal. And when called out, just decided to triple down on it and was just like, nope. And it's that mentality. It's that um, not racism in that sense, but like as far as
Well, I do feel like it is
potheads.
racism. Yes. Well, they're trying to get their point across and they're going to do whatever they can to make it that way. And especially if they're in the wrong. Usually, when people are in the wrong, that's when they become louder.
Yeah, and like it's that entire mentality, that entire thought process. If there was actual, like, factual information that people can actually resort to and can look at and be like, no, this is where you're wrong. It says right here, this is a
Hmm.
study, this is how it was proven, this is all this information. It can change people's minds. Whether or not it would change
It
his mind in
can.
that aspect, I mean, he tripled down on it. I don't think literally nothing would have proved him right or wrong. like literally he would believe it till the what's that saying? Believing it till the cows come home or something like that.
Yeah.
Believe it, yeah. Believe it until
Believing
it,
it till the cows come home.
yeah. But so we're also seeing a little bit more studies and a little bit more information out there. And the state of Illinois, there's a college in Illinois um, that is starting a pilot program. So they are doing a program where if you would be a likely candidate for opiates or opioids, I kind of use those two terms kind of hand in hand. But if you were a person who would be managing pain, like long-term pain management, and would have gotten opiates, and you would like to try an alternative, there's a pilot program that's in Illinois right now that would allow you to have cannabis. And the thing about it is it just makes a lot of sense. So it's a separate program of the medicinal cannabis patient program. But in February, patients can enroll online through the Illinois Department of Public Health's website. They pay a $10 fee for a 90-day registration period. A $10 fee. Like, that makes a
That's
lot more sense than
incredibly,
$300. Yeah.
yeah.
And it would be renewed after 90 days to allow patients to continue accessing medicinal patients. But so basically, as far as opiates go in Illinois, the state average prescribing rate is 51.1 per 100 patients.
Wow.
More than half. I mean, a little bit more than half, but more than half.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
Which apparently is lower than the 58.7. Like, apparently, nearly 60% of Illinois counties have prescribing rates over this average. So, this is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. It's a controlled substance. This is kind of where I found it a little bit confusing because you would, I'm guessing it would just be a recommendation, like you're not being prescribed cannabis, but I think you would forego the pain management contract and the whole pain management experience, which is an experience all of its own because you
Hmm.
got doctors that some of them should not be talking about or not talking, but prescribing
Prescribing.
opiates because they're just yes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's too bad. I mean,
it's
when you can be addicted to an opioid in 3 days, like
and
that's
it's
just incredibly irresponsible.
and it's so fast as far as the the whole situation is. First of all, you get a prescription before you go to pain management for opiates. So by then, you've probably had that doctor for a while prescribing you opiates. At one point or another, he's going to feel uncomfortable prescribing them and is going to recommend you to go to pain management. So by then, you're probably already feeling like shit when you don't have it.
Hmm.
And
Having
then,
withdrawals because you haven't had it.
yeah, and like, yeah, I mean, I've been down that alley, and that's, yeah. I started on tramadol, which, by the way, is a controlled substance now. Used to not be a controlled substance. When I was getting it prescribed, it wasn't controlled. Um, and it's a special kind of hell as far as an opiate. It's not directly an opiate or an opioid. That's, I think, where the term opioid came from. It acts like an opiate, but it's also an antidepressant. So when you start talking about antidepressants and starting to take them on a daily basis and on a constant, schedule, and then you stop, you feel the opiate withdrawal, and then you also feel the withdrawal of the antidepressant, which is not, which,
Well, and
yeah,
isn't the instructions for antidepressant when you're coming off of an antidepressant,
paper.
excuse me, you have to do it under the care of your doctor. You have to do it slowly because the withdrawals could lead to suicidal thoughts,
I mean,
self-harm.
yeah, and for me, it wasn't suicidal thought or self-harm or anything like that. It was I forgot what it's called, but basically, you'll be walking, doing something. Your vision will just start shaking for a minute, and you'll completely lose whatever you're thinking about or
Excuse
whatever
me.
you're doing. You'll completely you know, you'll lose where you are. Like it's not you lose. It's not like where you forget where you are, but like if you're like for me, it was I was working. I was stocking shelves. I would go back and say, okay, or I would start heading back and need to get like dish soap or something like that. I would get that, and this would happen multiple times an hour, and completely forget that I needed to go back there for soap. Like I would go
Hey,
end up
excuse
going
me,
back
I
there.
gotta go. I've got to get a glass of water. I'll be right
Yeah,
back.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's the when it comes to prescribing opiates and things like that, it's kind of the same thing. Like we got, um, oh wow, I can hear my own self now. So yeah,
Oh,
I mean, when it comes
I'm
to
back.
okay. Yeah, so when it comes to like prescribing opiates and stuff like that, this is kind of a pilot program that would basically kind of give them a little bit more information and more data of, what people are seeking when it comes to medicinal marijuana, as far as how the pain is managed. Um, I have never taken an opiate and completely felt no pain before. I don't have constant pain or anything like that. I'm not a chronic pain person. Um, but whenever I've had it, I've never taken any kind of opiate that has completely diminished, like gotten rid of the pain. It's made me forget about the pain. But this would basically kind of allow some people to take a gander at like what people are looking for with medicinal marijuana. Because there's sativa, there's indica, the things that they're looking for. Like if some people want to just kind of push through the pain, probably a sativa would be better for them. In indica pain, they want to sleep. So that it would kind of give them a little bit more information as far as what people are looking for in medicinal marijuana, what people are looking for as far as pain management with medicinal marijuana, and what people's expectations are with medicinal marijuana. So I think it's really cool, and I think that we should see this happen in almost every single medicinal state, at least. Um, an alternative, because like right now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, but pain is a possible thing for medical marijuana in North Dakota. Let's see.
Like pain management?
Yeah,
Or you mean as one of the symptoms?
one of
Like
the
to get
qualifying
a card?
conditions. Yeah, qualifying
Oh,
condition.
I think what was it like kind of like fibromyalgia was one of them, and that's a pain. I don't think it has just general pain as one. It has to be associated with the disease the last time I looked.
Yeah. Okay, so qualifying conditions. I didn't check this website at all, so this might be wrong in every single aspect of it. But um, here we go. Qualifying conditions would be um, cancer, HIV or AIDS. Uh, I don't know how to say that word. Something cirrhosis caused by Hep C,
Oh,
ALS,
cirrhosis.
PTSD.
Okay.
Yeah, D. No, I thought it was cirrhosis. Is that how you say that?
Cirrhosis. Yeah, you said it
Yeah,
right.
decompensated cirrhosis. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking
That
about with
doesn't
that one.
sound fun at all.
Right? Caused by Hep C on top of that, so like more than one.
Yikes.
Yeah. PTSD, Alzheimer's, Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia. I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Myalgia, not algae.
No, fibromyalgia.
uh, Spinal stenosis or chronic back pain, including neuropathy or damage of the nervous tissue of the spinal cord. I mean, in some aspects, that's a little bit of a pain thing too. Um, Interactable spasticity, spasticity. This is just turning into trying to make Phil say some medicinal terms. Glaucoma, epilepsy, terminal illness, seizures, muscle spasms of multiple Oh, including those characterized by multiple sclerosis or scoliosis, that's the word, a
Yes,
chronic or
scoliosis.
debilitating disease, or its treatment that produces one of the following: Croaxia, wasting syndrome, that's weird, um, severe debilitating pain. Severe debilitating pain. What is severe debilitating pain? I don't know.
Yeah, whose opinion is that?
Yeah. So I guess chronic or debilitating disease or its treatment that produces one of the following. So I mean, I guess it is one, but this would kind of make it a little bit easier to get, I guess, especially if it's something as, able to be paid for by like a $10 fee for 90 days. And I think that that trial period of 90 days is actually a pretty decent one because I know some people when medicinal in California was a thing, they they wanted to try it. They went the legal route. They went to a doctor. They got a recommendation. They went ahead and they purchased and they bought an ounce and they didn't like it and that's it. I mean, it just wasn't
Hmm.
for them. And I think that's another good thing to see is like for a 90-day period, if you only pay $10, you're not out. What was it? Four 480, I think, is how much it costs usually, or did back then. I don't know exactly how much it costs in North Dakota, but I'm sure it's a lot, and it would suck if it wasn't a thing that worked for you and you just haven't tried it before and you wanted to do it the legal way. Because
Hmm.
not everybody is willing to purchase cannabis illicitly and try it. By the way, let me
Well,
just, before, because I just said something I shouldn't have, we do not we condone the use. Condone is the word. Basically, we're not for you going out and purchasing an illicit substance, whether it be cannabis or anything like that. The only time that we not allow, um, I'm trying to figure out if condone is allowing.
we here are not promoting the
Yes,
use of illegal
yes,
drugs.
yes, unless it's
We
prescribed
do
by
have
a medicinal
aid,
provider.
or you're in Colorado and you can go and get it legally recreationally. Just
Yeah.
don't bring it back. That's against federal
Fun
law.
fact, fun fact, on Facebook, you should usually have to say
Yeah.
that. Got an email.
Oh, that.
Yeah, got an email, replied to that email, then told that I had to do it this way and everything's fine. But yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah. Also, fun fact, you can talk about gun control laws and regulating and changing gun control laws. Can't talk about drug laws or cannabis
Not on Facebook, you're right.
on Facebook,
Yeah, I
unless
can't
you're,
even promote my CBD business on Facebook
yeah,
because it's illegal in some parts of the world.
yeah, yeah. That's a whole other fun thing. Um, I think it's still a thing from the statistics that I've seen on the YouTube channel. The word North Dakota is still a word that causes search suppression.
Search depression.
Search suppression. So, like,
Oh,
using that word will make you show up in less lists on, like, if you search. Like, if you type in North Dakota, if you're not, like, registered or, like, set up in a certain way, which we are now, um, you won't show up in that.
wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's also if you type in ND Cannabis Caucus on Facebook, it won't show up. Sometimes. Most times it will. Sometimes it won't. Like if you're
Those
friends with somebody that is a
algorithms.
part of it, yeah. If you're friends with somebody that is a part of it, totally will show up for you. If you are just a random person, new Facebook account or whatever, just type it in. No.
That's
Yeah.
so strange.
But
Like, let's get with it, people.
that's another thing is like when it comes to like stuff like this is the reason why I do this type of show. This is the reason why we have this website. This is the reason why we have this page. it allows us to let you guys know what's going on, how to support, whether it be signatures or financial for like the ads or anything like that. Um, it allows us to communicate with you guys, and if you, believe that you know somebody that would be interested in the same thing, definitely let them know about us. Like, we need as many people as we possibly can get when it comes to uh, getting signatures. We there might be another petition coming out next month. Um, we're still going to be a petition. We're still going to be out getting signatures. I don't. I'm not against until I read. I'm not for or against until I read that petition. As far as what that petition says, but like anything when it comes to cannabis law reform in North Dakota, I'm at least willing to read it. And
Yeah.
we want other people to, even if they don't believe in, everything about us, I just want to be at least able to talk to them and see where they differ. And it's always interesting to hear a conversation. Like, we're not going to attack you for having a different view.
Oh, I feel the same way. Anytime that somebody comes in to sign a petition, you're not hurting my feelings if you have your opinion and you don't want to sign.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. I do encourage to have a conversation just because I want to see their viewpoint on it as well. And then of course I want to offer my viewpoint. But
Right.
but I do have a lot of wonderful conversations about just having the petition here does open up a lot of conversation.
Yeah. And also, if you want to be a business that has the petition, reach out to me. We'll get you out one. Going to be working on getting it a little bit faster in Grand Forks as well. So if you're a Grand Forks business, please reach out to me because I can just kind of do a whole day where I just give it all out to you in one day type of thing. But yeah, if you would like to be a business that supports the petition, allows people to sign the petition at their business, let me know, and we'll get you out a petition. Any signatures count, so even if you don't plan on going out and going to events and asking random people to sign, you just have a couple friends that want to that want to support and sign. Still reach out or go on the website, ndforfreedom.org, and if you hit the measure button, and actually, why don't we just do a explanation? So once this loads, there we go. Sorry, my internet's kind of slow when it comes to doing this. It's slow. So yeah, this is the website, ndforfreedom.org. So if you want to donate or volunteer, hit the volunteer button. You can reach out to us directly. You can also contact us with any questions or anything like that as well. So you can do that if you have any questions just whatsoever. Reach out. I usually reply pretty quick. I'm pretty quick on replying, usually about 2 hours
Yes.
tops.
Yeah, he's
uh,
very quick. He would get a very good rating on Facebook.
Also, the if you'd like to donate to us, a little bit goes a long way. Even if it's the minimum donation that you can technically do on here, I believe is $2. But 420 is kind of the sweet spot that everybody has been enjoying on using. You can definitely donate to us for 420. You usually get a pin and some merch. Also, when it comes to merch, this shirt will probably be gone by the time that it launches, but we also have shirts kind of like this. This one's a little big on me. Sorry, it's the only clean one I had of this shirt. So, but yeah, so we'll be launching shirts as well. We have some tie-dye ones. Um, I might be able to find some pictures here in a couple of seconds, but um, you can definitely donate and get some shirts and some pins and stuff like that. Just give me a message, like an email after you donate, just letting me know what size you are and what you're looking for, and we can definitely figure that out. As well
So are
as
they for sale or are they you get a t-shirt if you donate a certain amount?
you get a T-shirt if you donate a certain amount.
How much is the amount? Do you know yet?
We don't know yet, but I'm going to be the nice guy and say $10, and I'll send it out to you. And if it costs me more than the amount that you donated, that's totally fine. That's
Because
kind
that
of how
makes
I've been
sense.
doing it. Yeah, like honestly, like right now we don't have that set amount, but we will be probably talking about that on Tuesday. Also, another thing about Tuesday, we do have a meeting on Discord. So the link to the Discord is on the Facebook. So if you want to get involved, kind of talk to us and get a part of, or become a part and actually support, go out into events, or if you have any ideas or anything like that, or you have any particular skill that you can reach out to, including tech also on top of that. We're kind of covered when it comes to tech, but me and Anthony, who is also on part of the tech, that was supposed to be here but isn't. He is also on tech, but if you have any kind of tech skills or anything like that, I would very much like the help. But every Tuesday we do have a meeting, and this is the Discord. Whoopsies, hit the wrong button. So this is the Discord. When you do add us on Discord, you will be able to check in and say where you're from. You hit the heart that signifies where you're from, and you get listed on this side here. You can kind of barely see it, but that's because screen share sucks on OBS right now. And we do have a meeting every Tuesday. If you go to this room on Tuesday after 8 o'clock, usually it starts at 8, you can join in on the meeting, hear what's going on, see if you can support us in whatever we're planning on doing, or any ideas that you may have. Definitely bring it up there as well. So if you want to get involved, there's plenty of different options. But when it comes to the measure, if you just want to print it out and have a couple people sign it, or you just have a printer and your business that wants to support it, go on to ndforfreedom.org, type in measure, or hit measure, hit full language, and it will pop up here. And you can read it in its entirety right here, and it's a pretty short read. It's not 42 pages long, and again, you don't have to get this whole entire thing filled out. There's not a race over how many signatures you can have, or you can get. It's really, if you can get a couple, as one is better than none. All you got to do is sign, or get North Dakota voters to sign, and only North Dakota. Like if you're a Minnesota resident, you won't be able to sign. But if you're a North Dakota voter, feel free to sign, and then afterwards you can get it notarized, usually by your bank. And also, the only other thing is you can't sign your own petition, so definitely don't do that. Other than that, thank you guys very much. Hopefully this was entertaining. We're going to be doing this again. It's every Sunday, 6:30. Usually we run about an hour. Kind of ran a little bit longer, surprisingly, for only 2 stories that we had.
I knew we'd be fine, Phil.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I was a little stressed at the beginning, but I we went with it, and it worked well. Also, if you want to get involved in doing these shows or anything like that, reach out to me. We'll just talk a little bit. The only thing you have to kind of be able to do is have a hot take. That's about it. Yeah, so definitely reach out. And other than that, thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. And you guys have a great rest of your night.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Drink, think deeply as I sink. Finally, someplace I found peace in the dark of night. Tabletops, counters in the early hours. Stone cold inside. Banging drop stanzas, never